on the topic of sports and business, do you have business leaders that advise you or business leaders that you seek advice from or you give advice to? Like, do you have sort of a crew of other entrepreneur athletes who you spend time with? And I'd be curious to know about, who you seek advice from now, if they're in business or if they're in sport, or it doesn't really matter to you. You're just looking for people that you can learn from.
Yeah, definitely always looking for people to learn from. I also try to educate myself too, because it also means I can be a better leader and a better boss. If I can at least stay in the conversation, that's important. Even on the interior design side, as we look for different ways to develop our business, just talking to other designers that have been there before. And so I think I have a little bit of a privilege to have those opportunities. But I think even more importantly, surrounding myself and my own team with people who I can learn from and really have that experience and have that expertise and have that drive and entrepreneurial spirit. That's probably the most important thing, to be honest.
How do you work that out? Or is it more just kind of as things come up? Is there a system that you use for prioritization on a sort of day-to-day basis?
As busy as I am, prioritization is extremely important because it means that time doesn't get taken up by something else. So if I can have standing meetings, standing calls, periods of time that are just blocks of time that I can make sure that I'm giving to the appropriate teams or the appropriate business is extremely important. And when that doesn't happen, that's when chaos breaks loose, and it makes my mind also very chaotic because I feel like I'm missing the boat and missing something and missing the connections and things are falling through the cracks. So that's super important for me. And of course, then those meetings get canceled and rescheduled, and that's a part of life too. But as long as we know that this is happening.
Right. You mentioned earlier that you never expected or anticipated that you would be really into e-commerce, and you are now. And I'm wondering, a couple of things when you think about e-commerce, or frankly just replace that with modern commerce. One of the things that we've spent a lot of time thinking about is that it feels like it's the best time ever now to build a brand, to build a business, because frankly, for the first time, maybe, ever, you now can reach a global audience sitting in your basement like I am now, or sitting in a hotel. Is that what you like about e-commerce? Is it the creativity, is the ability to, hey, I have an idea for something, and then an hour later you can have that up and merchandise and for sale on the store and sell to go? Like, what about e-commerce was attractive to you? Because it's obvious, given you love design, why you go into interior design, but building a brand, you could have decided to go and sell, do only wholesale and just have a wholesale business where other stores are responsible for reselling those products. But you specifically and very intentionally did sort of the direct to consumer model, which is I want to sell these direct to the people that want to buy them. Curious to know about that.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities, and the barriers for entry are so much lower now because people can sell directly to consumer, and they can have this opportunity to speak directly to them and speak to them. And that part's exciting too. And I never really thought I would have a love for e-commerce because I just didn't think I had that expertise or that I could have any way of knowing like how this is all done. But what I started to love was the psychology behind it, the opportunity to get to know how your customer operates, what they're thinking, what doesn't work, what does work, and to see, where the friction might be happening on the website, and also where it is of ease, what people are loving. And I think more than anything, I started to fall in love with the psychology. And you would think that, okay, I would maybe love the design or the UX, but in the end, I like getting into the heads of people who want to be associated with us.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating because I guess you can actually see in real time what everyone thinks about any new product that you list on the site. You can see it on social media. You can read it in comments. I'm sure you get tons of email. When the confirmation email goes out that you've now bought something from 11, I assume you get replies and say, hey, this is really cool. Or that idea of having this like hyper real-time feedback and a conversation with the end consumer is just so different than it's ever been, where you'd go to a store, you bought someone else's product from a retailer, and then the opportunity for you to engage with the person who conceptualized and visualized this product, that there's no room for it. And there is in direct to consumer, which is, I think, so cool.
Yeah, it is. And it's just going to get better. It's just going to be even more opportunities to do that. And, I can't wait for what the future will bring.
Me too. What are some of your biggest challenges as an entrepreneur? Again, across any of these businesses, doesn't have to be anyone in particular, but what is challenging to you today that doesn't be the biggest challenge, but something that you're really working on now from the entrepreneurial lens?
Right. I think operational processes are extremely important. Mm-hmm. That the customer journey has to be seamless, so they don't care if the supply chain has gone to hell this last year, and if the world burned down, they want their leggings and they want to
right.
give them. So I think that's always a challenge. Obviously this year, onboarding new partners can sometimes be a challenge too. We just switched from our own warehouse to 3PL, so that was pretty interesting.
How involved are you in those decisions at this point?
I am more or less kind of in those kind of decisions because that is not my expertise. Mm-hmm. So it's identifying who those partners might be, what does that RFP process looks like, looking at the different proposals, involved in those touch points, but definitely not leading it. And I don't know if I want to do logistics, but maybe I'll find an extreme love for it at some point in time. So that's definitely kind of weighing in on those final decisions toward the end. Finding people is hard. It's very difficult, and it's hard when people have life changes that take them in a different direction, and maybe you're relying on that. I think regulation changes too, in terms of what's happening with privacy and all those different things sometimes can really give you a little bit of a boomerang. So what was currently working for your business at that time is now not, so kind of rebuilding. And I think we saw that last year too with a lot of the privacy changes as well. So that was interesting, but also learning points.
It's funny you mentioned supply chain, because obviously, we think a lot about this. We have, millions of stores on Shopify, and you're right. Consumers don't care about supply chain. They don't care about, the macro issues that may be facing the world that have nothing to do with your particular business. Everybody's affected by it. They just want their leggings, or they want their product that they got. I think in some ways, because when I look at 11 and I look at the site design, obviously it has, Venus written all over it in an incredibly wonderful, way. The aesthetics are beautiful. It's easy to navigate, exactly where to find everything you want. But I think part of what has happened is that consumers, I think, have become, I hope, a little bit more patient now, because they know that you're going to do everything you possibly can in your power and with your team to make sure they get their leggings in a reasonable amount of time. And I hope that's the case for you as well. I hope that you're not getting too many angry emails about that stuff.
And if we're wrong, we just want to know so that way we can fix it. So if we have someone screaming, then it means we need to listen. But most of it is good feedback, and it gives us kind of like a high alert of where we need to change and grow. And I'm okay with that. It's good to be coachable.
Yeah. Curious, where do you want to go next as an entrepreneur? What are the things you're most interested in? Is there another business now that you're thinking about, as much as you can tell us? Where does the entrepreneurial journey go from here? Do you go deeper on these 3 businesses? Do you sort of expand? I can imagine the amount of people wanting to, I don't know, hey, Venus, I'd love to pick your brain, or let's have a quick coffee to discuss something. I'm sure that happens more times than you care to imagine. But on a personal level, where do you want that entrepreneurial journey to go?
Well, as you said, I'd like to go deeper into what I've been doing already. And I have so many ideas and dreams, and my team tells me, yeah, but let's just perfect this one first. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm kind of that idea person who has a million ideas, and it's all about timing too, because you want to make sure you get it right. And I think the most important thing for us at 11 now is to really make sure that we're giving back, because our goal is to help people be their best self and to be able to have the tools to do that, and figuring out exactly how we tell that story and make sure that they're integrated into it and creating a community behind it.
The storytelling aspect to everything you do is again, in sort of preparing for this interview, I just wanted to understand the business a bit better. And the one thing that I think is so obvious in every single one of those businesses, is the story, is the actual, there's a why behind it. We're not just trying to make clothing. There's a reason why we want to do it. And there's no, the world may not need another random interior design firm, but this is different. This is our way of doing it. It feels like you bring your reason, your why into all those businesses, which I think makes it so much more personal and interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about love for what you do and looking inside of yourself to understand what you'd like to achieve and how you'd like to say it. And that's when it becomes relevant.
What's in store for you? What can we expect to see in 2022 from Venus Williams? And I'd be curious to know what's most exciting for you that's coming up.
Definitely some partnerships coming up on the event side and on the interior design side too. And I haven't been playing that much tennis lately, so I'm going back on tour. But There's so much off of tour, to be honest. It's been a whole lot of fun for me, but tennis is always my first love. And until the fat lady sings, I'm going to make that a priority as well.
When you say you're going back on tour, does that mean, I guess, ruthless prioritization becomes even more important?
I think for me, my main focus is focusing on the competition. And in this time that I've been away, it's really opened my eyes to that's really all it's about, is getting the best out of yourself and letting nothing get in the way of getting everything you can out of yourself, and then enjoying that. Just enjoying the competition, enjoying those pressure moments, and just stepping up to the line and saying, I love this. This is why I'm here. And when I come back on tour, that's what I'm focused on, is just me and just that process and executing the process again.
We talked a bit about obviously karaoke, and we talked about music a little bit, but is there a song right now that, if you were stepping on the court, whether for a practice or for a big match, what's playing in your AirPods or whatever you're listening to?
I come off different songs, and I have this physio, and we just started working together, and she's from Spain, and so I've kind of indoctrinated her to because I just kind of, not in a rude way, but I just live my life and I'm me, and even if it's a little weird, I do it. So like we were walking into this hotel and there was a song I liked and I just played it on my phone. She's like, no, don't do that. They're going to tell you to turn it off. I was like, well, they will. But I'm like, so we got used to it. And now when we walk in places, like my sister, her and I, we have a team called Team V, which stands for Team Venus and Isha. And it's a Roman numeral. And so we're all Team V. We go places, we have a song that we play. That's our song.
So you're playing it like off your phone as you walk in somewhere?
It's definitely not on a boombox on the shoulder.
Well, I just mean it's not in your ears though. It's like everyone else can hear it too.
Yeah. So
amazing.
I think that song was I don't know, let me look on my phone. It's by Alex Cortez and it's called Tantalizing Love. It's just like this electronic chill beat.
Cool.
And you just play it in the morning when you wake up and you get started, or you play it in your hotel as you're walking in. It doesn't really matter when you play your song as long as you're playing it.
Well, for all those watching, next time you see me in person, I suspect you will see me having my own walk-in music that I'm walking around to, whether or not you want to hear it or not. I'm totally going to take the Venus version of that.
Just share with me what your song is, though, right now.
It's a good question, actually. Let me see the song. Let me check on my phone here what I'm listening to mostly. The truth is I have little kids, so there's a lot of there's like Nutcracker is big because my kids are really into ballet right now. They love Dua Lipa, so there's like a ton of Dua Lipa playing pretty much perpetually across my house. But let me actually see my what's Edamame. I really like Rich Brian. I don't know if you know that song. It's really cool. That's probably the one I would. It's Edamame is a great song. Yeah.
Guess what I'm listening to this morning here in LA? Edamame after this.
Perfect. I please send us a video of you walking in somewhere and listening to that. Look, before I let you go, I just want to, is there a message you want to leave our team with? Who again, we're also trying to step into greatness in 2022. We're trying to do everything we can to not only help existing entrepreneurs, but also inspire new entrepreneurs to try their hand at building really cool stuff and trying to make it easy as as possible for them to be successful. Any sort of closing thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I think for me, I can just share what my goals are for myself this year. And like I said earlier, it's just about enjoying it, just leaning in, enjoying it, and giving everything that you have, and realizing there is no limits, even with the limits that we put on ourselves. Even though you can tell yourself, I'm a no limit person, somehow the mind wants a limit. So not letting those limits happen. And then just about connections and experiences, that those are the most important things that we can give people. is that connection and that experience. And that's something that I'm focusing on not only in my business, but also in my personal life this year, is connecting with people and then experiencing life and the world. And that is so pertinent to our customers too, because if we give them this connection to ourselves and our brands, and if we give them this beautiful experience, that's all we need in life anyway, are those things. We think we need that Prada bag, and we think we need that extra, cookie, but it's really about those experiences that we don't remember the bag 20 years from later. We don't remember all the meals we ate or whatever it might be, but we remember when we went here or did that, and that's important.
I love that. That's wonderful. Well, look, I'll just say your story, your grit, your determination, your confidence, your resilience there is incredibly inspiring. And we are so lucky to have you here with us today. And so I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Venus. And also thank you for being a wonderful example of a Shopify merchant. Thank you for being a great entrepreneur. You're the reason that we get up every morning. You're the reason that we work so damn hard. And we feel very fortunate that we're playing a very, very small part in your journey of building your businesses. And if any of you want to check out 11, it's 11byvenuswilliams.com. It's an amazing example of a Shopify store. And thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much. And I have to also say thank you as someone who's been using Shopify to make it so much easier, not only to just start your business literally that day if you want to, but also to learn and to grow and to understand the business better for just anyone who's just coming in, because I was that person actually.
That means a great deal to us. Thank you.